HRN listeners. As we celebrate our 15th year, we are deepening our commitment to giving voice to the next generation of food systems storytellers, and we need your help. Our internship and fellowship programs help activate new possibilities for underrepresented and underestimated young people through experiential journalism, audio engineering, and production training. Through these unique programs, HRN helps food equity stewards build essential workforce readiness skills that expand their potential and foster economic mobility. Please consider supporting these critical programs. And with a minimum donation, you can be entered to win a dinner for two at an amazing restaurant in one of 8 cities and tickets to a concert at a great venue in one of those cities. We have incredible partners across the country who have donated, as they also share our passion for helping to educate the next generation of food systems storytellers. Check out heritageradionetwork.org/15 to donate and enter to win today. That's heritageradionetwork.org/15 to donate and enter to win today. And make sure you donate before March 31st. Thank you.
Today's program is brought to you by the Museum of Food and Drink, sparking curiosity about food with exhibits you can eat. For more information, visit mofad.org.
You're listening to Heritage Radio Network. We're a member-supported food radio network broadcasting over 35 weekly shows live from Bushwick, Brooklyn. Join our hosts as they lead you through the world of craft brewing, behind the scenes of the restaurant industry, inside the battle over school food, and beyond. Find us at heritageradionetwork.org.
Welcome to the Grape Nation, your weekly wine journey. Our guest is Heidi Turzyn, wine director at the iconic Gotham Bar and Grill in New York City. We'll talk about women in wine, good psalms, restaurants and wine lists, and wheeling forward. We'll taste the 2014 Sonoma Coast Chardonnay for our weekly wine sip. I'm your host, Sam Ben-Ruby. Stay with us for the Grape Nation on the Heritage Radio Network. We bring wine to the people. New York born and bred Heidi Turzyn thought she'd make a career out of ballet, but pirouetted her way right into the wine world. She oversees the 800-plus wine selection as wine director at the singular award-winning Gotham Bar and Grill in Greenwich Village in New York City. Welcome to the show, Heidi.
Hi, Sam.
Did I get that right? Born and bred in New York?
That is correct, yes.
I wanted to make sure because everything I looked at led towards that. All right. I want people to know where you came from and how you got to where you are. So tell us about your journey in life and wine that got you to the point where you are, which right now is the wine director at Gotham Bar and Grill. And keep it in the context of work and wine and influences and all of that.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Glad to have you here.
So I guess I started in the restaurant business when I was old enough to work. When I was 15, I was old enough to work. So I started at Friendly's, scooping ice cream.
Oh, boy.
So it goes way back.
And you didn't mind it?
No, I didn't. I really enjoyed working. I enjoyed my independence. I enjoyed being able to take care of myself. I enjoyed the independence of that. So when I was old enough to, I worked, and I stayed in the business ever since. I worked after Friendly's. I moved up to catering. So I started working at a catering hall on Long Island. And then from there, I started working at a friend of a farmer. There's one in Greenwich Village. They had some on Long Island.
Down on Irving Place?
Yes, that's correct, yes. So I'm originally from Long Island, born and raised.
Right.
And there were the Friend of Farmers there in Rockville Center. And so I started, that was my first real restaurant kind of job.
Kind of a cool place.
Yeah, I enjoyed it very much. And so at this point I was...
Did they have wine service there?
They did,
They did.
yeah. not the same level.
Right. Still.
But they did offer some wine. And I was 17 and working there, and I just really, really enjoyed working. So I was the counter girl, doing the cookies and pastries and cashing out checks. And whenever a job opened up, I would always offer to help out. And because I was still young, I was 17, I was only just allowed to do that one job. But then the manager really took a liking to me because of my hard work, and she offered me to fill in on the brunch shifts, and so I started filling in on the brunch shifts. But then on the slower points of the weekend when I was doing the counter work, I would be interested in the bar, so I was still too young to do anything like that, so I would slowly ask the bartenders if I could learn a cocktail. So they would give me the recipe for one or two, and then I would study it, and then come back and they would test me on it. And then over time, I learned how to bartend before I was 21. And then time went by.
They were good guys. They kind of helped you and worked with you.
Yeah, it was really nice.
Were you tasting anything or
I
drinking a little?
not.
You're a liar.
I was not. But when I noticed that some people didn't want to work the brunch shifts because they were so slow. So I was always that one in the background that when they were complaining, I would be like, oh, I'll do it. So eventually they, when I was 18, the manager was over 21. So when I offered myself to work as a brunch bartender, they said no because I wasn't 21. But then I said, well, there's a manager that's over 18, so over 21. So then they said it was okay. So then I started from there with the bartending and learning about beverages. After that,
College?
I did, yes. After that, I started working at Starfish on Long Island. I'm sorry, left out. When I was working at Front of the Farmer, I started working at a blues bar as well, same time. And then I would work there a couple hours, and then sometimes I would work at... And then after that, I went to another restaurant, Chadwick's, for some time, and then Fishtail. And then after that, I came... I'm sorry, Starfish. David Burke is Fishtail.
Right.
And then after that, I was going to college and I was bartending at
Where
Cafe.
did you go to school, in Manhattan?
I went to Hunter College,
Hunter?
yes.
Okay.
Yes. So I was working as a bartender as I was going to college. I lived in many neighborhoods from Long Island, Brooklyn, Queens. And at this point, I was living in Astoria and going to Hunter College and bartending at Café d'Alsace.
On the Upper East Side?
Yes, on the Upper East Side.
Kind of a cool bistro, brasserie.
Yeah. They specialize in beers and wines from all over the world.
At this point, do you realize I like hospitality, or this is cool, or they're just jobs to you?
Well, at this point, I appreciated the restaurant business. I was in the restaurant business with my sisters. I'm one of 6 kids, and so I was very close to my sisters, and we all started working at Front of the Farmer, but I was the only one that stayed.
Right.
Everybody else left the business, but I was still in it, and I did appreciate the hospitality, and I really just the food was interesting to me, and that's something that I started to take to first, and then I started to learn about different varietals working at Café d'Alsace, and that's what...
How long were you there?
I think I was there 2 years.
All right, so that was a springboard to sort of what became your career. But let's fill in something, because it's an interesting point about you. You are a ballerina.
Yes.
Right? You studied ballet as a kid. You continued to practice. I think you still
Yes,
practice and work out. So talk to me quickly about that. When did that happen? Your mom said you're taking ballet classes?
No, actually, I always wanted to take them. And so my mom first started me when I was younger, but I was the one that always wanted to continue, and so I would always ask my mom if I could take more classes. And growing up, I would walk to the ballet school, so again, my independence there. And that just became my outlet as a child, and I continued that. I was never really under the impression that you could be a ballerina for some reason.
Right.
It was never introduced to me as a career.
You enjoyed doing.
Yeah, so it was just
that
something.
was never an end goal to be a professional dancer.
Right, not until I got old enough and realized that
Right.
it was possible.
And then you realized how competitive it was.
Yes, the dance world in New York City is very competitive.
So at some point you're in school, you're working crazy hours at a restaurant, and you're also dancing, right? Which could be rigorous at times.
Yes, I was going to college and studying dance. I was also working, doing some scholarship programs with dance companies. So when I was going to Hunter, you always have those club hours, so I would take advantage of my time and go to ballet companies, take company class, come back.
Right.
And then I would have rehearsals, and I would negotiate with the bartenders to come in later, and I would stock the bar, and I would close. So I would do all the heavy lifting in order to make everything work, so I was able to dance and work and go to school.
All right, so we're up to the point where you're still early in the game. You're in school, you're working at Cafe d'Alsace, and you're there a couple of years, and things kind of really materialize. What happens then?
While I was working there, I was getting ready to graduate, and I was learning more about wine.
Are you 21 yet?
Yes,
Okay.
I am 21. And I started to go to school at IWSCT. And when I graduated, I still wanted to learn. And so when I was done with college, that was still in me to want to continue to learn. So I wanted to go to wine school, and I started doing that. And while I was bartending there, I had two of the managers from Gotham who were my regulars. So the service director and another dining room manager came in often. And
This is at?
Cafe d'Alsace.
So they must have lived up there or something?
Yes, I think they did, yeah.
All right.
And so they would come in, and I would take care of them, and they were impressed. And so...
They obviously took notice.
Yes.
But you didn't go to Gotham from Cafe d'Alsace, right?
I did. Before... I did go to Gotham from Alsace. There was a short time where I worked at a sports bar.
Okay.
That was when this bar was slowing down a little, and I wanted to save some money to go to Japan. And so I did that for, I think, 6 months. And I never do that, but I needed to make some money to go to Japan with one of my friends.
Why Japan? Why was that on your radar?
During my time in college, I had a lot of friends from around the world. And my best friend was from Japan, from Tokyo. And she invited me to go to Japan with her. And I needed to... put together some money to get my plane trip over there. And I was there for 2 weeks, and that was an important moment for me in hospitality that kind of opened my eyes.
Right.
I always appreciated, her attention to detail, her family. They were so welcoming. And when I went there, we would visit the temples, and I didn't realize how to dress. I wouldn't have warm enough clothes because it was outside, and
Winter.
I thought, yeah, and so I got sick, and and then one night she had to go see her friend, so her father was home and her mom, and they didn't speak any English.
Oh boy!
And so, but they were so kind and generous, and they made me a nice dinner. And the father really liked to drink. The mother and my friend Asami didn't really drink, but the father was so excited to have somebody that liked wine around. So they didn't say much. We ate a nice meal, and they would talk and smile. And then he opened a bottle of Latour 82.
Wow.
And that was my first kind of moment in hospitality. But
Wow.
it was more about how kind they were.
Did you know what a Latour 82 then was?
I knew.
Not as much as now. You knew it was a good wine?
Yes, I did know it was a good wine.
Did it make an
yes.
impression on you?
Absolutely.
I mean,
yes.
it's one of the great wines of all time.
Yeah.
Vintage year,
Absolutely.
winery and all that.
Yeah.
Did you work for David Burke ever?
Yes, I did for 5 years. Yeah.
Okay. When was that?
So after Alsace, I went to Gotham
Right.
as a bartender. And I
So
was
you went to Gotham, then you went to...
David Burke, yes.
Got you.
So during that time, Michael Nelson was the wine director, and we were friendly, and he introduced me to David Burke, the David Burke Group. And so from there, I went on to work for David for 5 years.
5 years, and you ascended to beverage director?
Yes. I started as a som, and then David one day asked me if I wanted to take over the program, and then I did for the flagship, Townhouse, and then he wanted to see if I would like take over the group and unify the programs. He wanted to see consistency with the cocktails, the bars, and the wine list. So that was my job.
Were you ready for that? You were willing to do it.
Yes,
Not sure if you're ready, but you
yes.
you put your head down and did it.
Well, he said, "Can you do it?" And I said, "Yes." And he's like, "Well, first I said, will you do it?" I said, "Yes." "Can you do it?" "Yes." And he's like, "All right, go."
So bookend questions. You leave Gotham because there's nothing for you beyond being a bartender. This was a good opportunity, right?
Yes. Gotham, in the handbook, it says that in order to get promoted, you need to leave
Oh, okay.
and come back.
So it wasn't discouraged. David Burke, the thing came up, seemed like a good opportunity.
Yes, they were working with me to find other positions at Gotham, but the opportunity for David Burke came up, and that was as a SOM, so that's something I wanted to go for.
Did they bug you within the 5 years at some point towards the end to come back, or?
Yes, I started just to hear from different people that they were looking for somebody at Gotham, and then I just kind of brushed it off because I was already there and I didn't even think. And then after a few times of people saying it to me and then telling me I should really look into it, I already heard somebody else had started. I wasn't really thinking, I wasn't looking. And then the owners reached out to me, and then we had, I think, 4 interviews.
It was a process, right?
It was a long process, yes.
What period of time went by from when they first spoke to you to when they hired you?
I think, I want to say it was 2 months. Yeah.
Why so long? It's like, hey, this is me. You want me or not?
No, I think they knew me. They already had known me.
Right.
And then I had to interview with each owner, and they weren't always available. And it was the summer, and then I had a trip to Burgundy that was going on. And so that's kind of what held it up. And then all the owners came in together, and that's when I had to meet with all of them.
We're going to get into this a little, but first woman
to take over the
wine person over there.
Yes.
Now, is it the same ownership then as now?
Yes.
Because, and we'll get into Gotham specifically later, but one location, one chef, same owners, iconic place, which is amazing. Do you remember early on then, I guess David Burke, and as you were ascending in wine, what were your personal favorites in wine? What were you, I know you tasted the Latour in Japan, but what were you liking then?
My palate definitely changes over the years.
Well, I know
like
that.
everyone.
So I'm curious early
Yeah.
on if you can remember, and then
Yeah.
as we go down the chain, we'll see how it changed.
When I was at David Burke's, we were working on consignment a lot, and one of the collectors, who was also one of the owners, he had a huge collection of Bordeaux's. So there were Bordeaux's, and
not what they had, what you liked. Did you like the Bordeaux?
I did. Because,
what else? So Bordeaux's because they were around and available, but I mean, was there anything?
Yeah.
Rhone wines or Rieslings? I mean, did anything jump at you early?
Yes. Well, from my Alsace days, the Rieslings for sure.
Okay.
That was. I didn't grow up with a winemaking. I didn't grow up with a wine drinking family. So Riesling to me, when I was in Alsace, to taste older Riesling was kind of eye opening because I didn't know.
Amazing.
Yeah, and
Psalms love Riesling.
It's so good.
Yeah, it really is. I try to promote it. I had Paul Greco on a few weeks ago. Boy, does he reek Riesling.
He does like it.
And as the summer's coming, even though it's not a seasonal wine,
Right.
it's just a good wine. We
So
always
delicious.
talk about it. All right, so you go to Gotham, to go back the second time, 2013?
Yes, correct. So before
And
yours.
that's almost 4 years ago. You've been there since,
Yes.
running and building the program up. And we said earlier that you were the first woman to run the wine program there, right? So here's my question. Let's talk about women in wine. New York's a great place. I have a feeling that there are more women in wine in New York than other markets, but less than 15% of all SOMs are women. Why is that? And how do we change that?
Yeah.
What do you I mean, what's your personal views and feelings on that?
Yeah, I don't know why there aren't more women. I don't know if it hasn't attracted them, but for myself, I think sometimes there could be an error. There could be a little bit of some arrogance. It's a tough industry, and
Culturally, it was a male-driven business.
Yes.
We'll lay that foundation down.
yes,
Like banking in a way was always a guy's club, Wall Street.
right.
So that was the culture, and it changed a little, but
Well, it's hard when there's a boys' club and you can feel that energy, and you have to really prove yourself and have your voice heard, and that's something that I think for any career could be difficult, and so that might be something that would steer women away from it.
Right.
And I definitely have seen that and have seen my share of that from the guests to people in the industry, and that's something that I was aware of coming in, and I could see that around me. And I think that the ballet world had given me the tough skin to not take it to heart and just
very
focus.
rigorous.
Yes.
Very focused and all
Yes.
that. So in a way, the ballet thing helped.
100%.
do you think wine naturally appeals to like male sensibilities, like it's a guy thing? I mean, I don't believe that, and screw that, but do you think that was one of the underlying things?
I think that men, for the most part, in America, they are the ones that are buying the big wines. They're the collectors, and they are the ones at the table ordering. They're the ones at the table paying for the most part.
It's still a guy's club that way.
Yes, and I think that once we start seeing more women that are interested, that are out there, that are collecting, going to auctions, that are, it may change it, but I think that women are interested in it as well. But
so it's changing. It's early. We're not there yet.
We're not there yet.
But in New York, I mean, there's some great sommeliers and programs that are, run by women. I'm sure if you went to other cities, but I think in New York. Yeah. Is there still sexism among your peers and with customers? I mean, do customers still look at you and say, where's the wine guy?
Yes, absolutely.
Still.
Yes. I think the way that I hear it is different now. When I was younger, where I was really trying to prove myself, and I would go to a table and a gentleman would look me up and down and ask for the somm again.
You were a little intimidated.
Yes, and
now, how do you handle it?
Now, when I approach a table and they do that, I just brush it off, and then I look to the person, somebody else, who seems like they're the ones having the conversation, and not the person that is looking me up and down.
Right. You're also a hospitality professional,
yes.
So you have to keep that in mind.
Yes, always.
Do you think women are so much better at men than at so many things? And men are better than women. So do you think women have better palates than men?
Oh, I mean...
There's nothing statistically or clinically that says that, right?
No, not that. I mean, people have said different things, and I have had guests...
What do you hear?
Well, some guests will say she has a better nose. She'll taste the wine. A lot of husbands prefer their wives taste the wine. But I don't
Probably
really know.
Not. I didn't know if there was an answer. Tell me what it takes to be a great sommelier. You've been doing it, at every level. Mm-hmm. What are the things day in, day out, that are important? And you're at a place. It's a unique place. It's not casual. It's not super fancy. It's right in that great spot where service is important. Not underserved, not overserved. Tell me what it takes to be a good som.
I think it's number one, knowing it's about hospitality, and knowing that guests are coming from all around the world, and they're coming for an experience. And there's a part of psychology when you're taking care of when you're in the restaurant taking care of guests. But being a good som is really listening. I think when a guest tells you what they like, try to really hear what they're saying and not what you would like them to have.
So listen.
Listen.
It's not about what you want and what you like.
Right. Listen. Patience. Being able to get your hands dirty.
Are most people in that good spot where they just want you to help them and they're not know-it-alls?
With the guests?
Yeah.
Oh, yes, especially if you have regulars. It's so nice when they come in and they just tell you to pick something out for them and give you a price point, and you want to give them the best bottle, and you know what they had the time before, so you want to give them a new experience.
But with newer people, you really have to get into their heads.
With newer people, yes, and understand their palates, and you have to win them over still. So that's something. With new guests, absolutely.
So what are things to win people over?
Well, they like something, to bring them a wine that they would like to drink that is what they're asking for. And if you're going to bring them to something that is different or eye-opening, that it is something that they would like. So for me, depending on who the guest is, if they're there to really wow their guests, if it's a client that they want to show that they are treating them to a very nice bottle, finding that bottle, or if it's a guest that wants to find a small producer in Burgundy that just wants a nice deal, and finding that. And
so you really have to read the table and the people and what their intentions are.
Yes, absolutely.
It could be a bunch of friends, or it could be business guys, different intentions and all of that. So in a sense, besides being a hospitality host, you're an educator.
Yes.
True?
Yes, absolutely. For the
guests. Right. So you've been the wine director at Gotham Bar and Grill for about 4 years. I think it would be best for you, not me, to tell us frame it for us a little, why Gotham is so unique. You have a wine program in a restaurant, that supports this amazing space and chef and wine program. Why is Gotham so unique? What is it, 40 years later? 34.
Yeah, Gotham is a beautiful space. For one, kind of hidden on 12th Street. You walk into this big grand room that's just beautiful to see, but to experience. You walk into this room and these super high ceilings and gorgeous setup where the attention to detail in the restaurant is really important to us. Each table is lit with a light in the center of the table coming from the high ceilings. Just the decor alone, for me, I enjoy working there because it doesn't feel heavy. It feels light and open.
It's airy and all that.
And it feels like New York.
Yes.
You walk in, it's very like
quintessentially
classic.
New York, downtown, too.
Absolutely,
One of the things I noticed the bunch of times I've been in is the artwork changes. Is that true?
Yes, we worked with a gentleman named Martin Friedman, who was a much older gentleman who was an art curator, and he did put some artwork in there every now and then.
Was he a customer?
He was a longtime customer.
And he was an art curator?
Yes, he was a very important man in the art world, and he was a regular with a house account that came almost every night.
Wow.
Yeah.
So he would loan, consign, sell? What?
Well, it wasn't just him. He was one that it was on my mind because he recently passed away.
Right.
But they very much do like art at Gotham. So from the GM to Chef Alfred Bertelli, they do have a liking to artwork, so they try to bring
it's part of the feel.
Yes. And I wanted to mention, too, what makes Gotham special. The food is excellent. I've been there, and I know I worked there, so I always did like it, even when I did leave. But the chef has been there, and his and the chefs that work under him have been there for years. Chef Jacinto has been there, I think, for 30 years.
Alfred Bertelli came a year after the owners bought it and brought him in. Who were you mentioning?
Oh, and then he also has other gentlemen, the sous chef and other
that have been with
have been with him for years to make sure the food is consistent. So I think consistency in New York City is very important. You don't get that many chances. There's too many restaurants.
I think Alfred Bertelli has influenced a lot of chefs on the scene in New York and in the country. Mm-hmm. I think he may have been the guy that invented high food.
Yes.
Where he would plate something and it would kind of, shoot up and all that. I think he's still revered by everyone today. You're being a little humble in the sense, that it's a unique place, and you described it well, but the restaurant's received 3 stars on 5 different occasions.
Yes.
Which is a pretty big deal. It's carried a Michelin star, which is, hard to get. And I think the Times called it one of the most important New York City restaurants of the past 40 years.
Yeah.
That's high praise. And I think the bigger deal is same chef, same location, same quality, same reputation and all that. So that's the backdrop for your wine program.
Yes.
Which is pretty nice. So the program, wherever I look, said there's over 800 selections.
Yes.
What does that mean? There's 800 different
labels. There's different wines, yes. And different vintages of different wine.
Right. It could be the same wine, 15 different vintages. That would...
Yes. The program has 800 labels. Depending on the season, I might increase or decrease. And
so wait, what's the predominant focus of the wine? There has to be a predominant focus.
The strength of the list is France. So French wines are dominate the list, and then Italians and American. We sell a lot of those 3. We do have a.
Was that always the case? Did it evolve? I mean, did you tweak it a little, or because you're entitled to when you come in?
Every wine director has put their touch on the wine list,
right?
And we haven't had that many. So if you think about the people that have been there, from Michael Greenlee to Michael Nelson, or even if you start before that, Scott Carney. And so everybody has had every wine director has had their touch on that list, and it's beautiful in that way, where I still have a couple of bottles at the warehouse that I know one of Michael Greenlee might have brought in, and it's
cool.
Great. It's fun to find these wines, and so it's a collaboration of all of us together, but I think since I've been there, the French wines may have increased a little.
Okay. So the big 3 are French, American, Italian.
Yes.
French being the dominant.
Mm-hmm.
If you push those three aside, what's
Next.
been showing a lot, or what have you brought in, or
American wines. Oh, I mentioned American wines.
Yeah.
I brought in
different regions of America?
wines from Austria.
Gruners and
Rieslings,
and all that. Okay.
A few reds I'll bring in from Austria as well, but they just don't sell, so they'll sit on the list. And I do want movement, so I'm very conscious of making sure that the list has wines that also.
So you were going to get into it before, but now you can answer for me. So, how do you select what wines go on the list?
Mm-hmm.
How often do you change it? I would guess seasonality, the food.
Mm-hmm.
And do you pay attention to the menu? I mean, you collaborate.
Yes, absolutely. The chefs are great whenever a new dish is
So how do you manage, 800, things fall off, you add things?
Yeah. Well, for the cuisine, for the menu, when it changes seasonally, wines by the glass change with that. So I pair the wines by the glass to what's on the menu. And so that's one area. And then for the wine list, changes happen every day. So prints of the wine list will happen 3 times a week, but changes, rotations. And then I'll look for what is a hole on the list. If I need to increase more Oregon Pinots, then I'll start to focus on that section. Or if I need to do more Southern Rhone, I'll start focusing on that. So looking at the list, but pretty much what the guests are drinking. Or
that'll dictate.
That will, yes. And
but there's so much wine and so many sales guys, and
yes.
you have a large list. Mm-hmm. I'm always curious, what does it take to add a wine? You just answered it partially by customer
and the Psalms.
And what you like and all of that.
Yes, exactly, because what you like, you really
is it a process of knocking off to add, or you just
No,
kind
there's
of
so
add?
much movement. It's so busy and consistent that when I first started, it was just on another level of volume that I was shocked at how I had to order things so frequently, and that I just ordered 5 cases of a wine by the glass. And a week later, I'm like, I wasn't ready. I didn't realize that it went through that much.
Wow.
But so there's so much movement that I don't have to really wait for something unless it's really kind of geeky and weird that it's going to sit for a while.
So within French, where's the skew, Bordeaux or Burgundy?
Burgundy.
Mm-hmm. So it's a Burgundy place.
We sell a lot of white Burgundies and then red.
Well, yeah,
and then because the red
great white wines are Burgundies. I looked at the wine list and I noticed, I added up with my fingers, 30, 35 wines by the glass.
Yeah.
I've drank a lot of wine, been in a lot of wine restaurants, looked at a lot of wine lists. To me, that seems on the higher end. Mm-hmm. Is 35 glasses typical for a restaurant like that, or is that pushing it a little?
Well, in that wine by the glass offerings, there's also fortified wines.
Everything.
And dessert wines.
Champagne, white, red.
And then I have some Coravin higher end wines as well. So those don't move as often.
But you've been in other restaurants. Is 35 wines by the glass? Is that?
I don't think so. I think it's okay. Yeah, I mean,
no, I'm not judging it. I'm just curious if most restaurants carry that many wines by the glass. From
I
what
think so.
They do.
Yeah, because even at times when I get a new dish, I'm like, I need to add a new wine by the glass.
I thought it seemed like a little more, but what do I know?
Yeah.
All right, so you have your list, you have your clientele, you know what they drink. Besides that, what wines and regions are exciting you right now?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, is there anything in Burgundy, Marsanne, or beyond what you carry? Are there?
Yeah.
Tell me what.
Well, one of my first loves is Rhone as well.
Okay.
One of my loves is Rhone. So I've always enjoyed their wines. When I was going to IWCT, that was one of the first ones that I enjoyed there.
What do you like? Côte Rôties?
Yeah, I like Côte Rôties. I like Jamais. I like Jobelay. I like Chave, Vernet, Gramelon.
That's Northern Rhone?
That's Northern Rhone. Yeah, and I like Southern Rhone as well. Like
Northern more?
Yes, Northern Rhone.
All right, so give me an emerging or an interesting or something sort of off the Gotham chart that's interesting to you right now.
I also really like wines from Jura. I think it's a cool place. There's a lot of nice wines coming from there. I appreciate the organic practices happening there. I think that they do have a lot of fun wines that are delicious, and it's a beautiful place. I traveled there last September, and it was really one of my favorite moments of my whole trip.
I'd say the Loire and Jura, all those places. So what happens? You have a clientele that expects a certain list. It's not your crusade to push Jura wines on these people? You introduce a few?
I do have some on the list.
Right.
I do, and I do offer it at times.
Right.
The Pelican and Tissot I have on the list, and those, if it fits what they're asking for, and if it fits what they're eating, then absolutely, I would.
But you stay in your main wheelhouse usually.
Oh no, whatever fits for them. Yeah, that's reading the guest again. I know it's there. I just don't have as much requests sometimes.
All right, we're going to take a break in a few minutes and do our wine list. But before we do that, I think under your direction, you helped bottle a house Pinot Noir.
Yes.
Do you still do that?
Yes,
Tell us what it is, the story, when it happened, the wine.
I did my first blend for Gotham under 12 East 12. That's the label.
Brand.
That's
the
brand.
address is 12 East 12.
Yes.
The brand name is 12 East 12.
And the producer is Chapter 24 in Oregon,
Okay.
Willamette Valley. So the first blend I did there with Louis Michel Leger-Belair from
Lightweight.
Burgundy.
Right? I mean, one of the great Burgundy guys,
he's
right?
Awesome, yeah. He's a really great guy.
So you and him literally went to Oregon
Yes, we were in Oregon together, and I did all the barrel samples together with him, did it all on my own first, and then he did his, and then I came back and I gave the information of what I wanted for the blends. And from there, the blending process started where he would guide me on what he thinks would be nice for the blends, and then I would tell him which one I preferred or didn't. So that was the start of the 12 East 12 Willamette Valley 2014.
2014.
And then I did, the next year I did 12 East 12 Shea, single vineyard, with Louis again.
Shea the Vineyard?
So it's 12 East 12 Shea.
S-H-E-A
Yes.
Vineyards, right.
And that's
in Oregon.
In Oregon, and again with Louis Michel. And that one I really fought for because I wanted that Shea, and it's a nice contrast to the 14, which offers a little more fruit and it's a riper vintage.
So what's the profile you're looking for? If I had to guess before you answered, it would be a little bigger Pinot than not, because I think the clientele. What was your goal? What type of wine did you want to make?
The goal that I wanted to make for the Pinot was more towards the Shea profile. The second one, I wanted it.
Which is what? Give me a couple of
descriptions. Red fruit, more Burgundian in style, a little bit more of that cherry and mushroom, but a little more soft and elegant.
Earthiness, cherry, fruit.
Yes, elegant, and the alcohol to be balanced, and for it to complement the cuisine and not overpower it.
Not to ask you which is your favorite kid, but the Shea expresses more of what you wanted to do.
I also made a 12 East 12 Chardonnay with Walter Scott. So Ken
small
is
producer, good guy.
They make some really nice Chardonnays. So
I tasted his stuff at the Grand Cru
so
tasting.
Good, yeah.
He was there,
and he's worked for Evening Land in the past, and now he's started Walter Scott. So Shea would be my favorite.
So if you go to Gotham, you could taste their own Pinot Noir. It's the 12 East 12.
Yes.
And Heidi had a heavy hand in making that. And can you buy it?
You can if you go to Chapter 24's website. They sell it there.
All right. And it's a reasonably priced wine. It's not a crazy priced wine, right?
Yes. On our wine list, the 12 East Willamette Valley 2014 is $72 a bottle, and the Shea single vineyard is $120 a bottle.
There you go. All right, we're talking to Heidi Turzyn. Heidi is the wine director at Gotham Bar and Grill in New York City. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to subject Heidi to our wine list. You're listening to The Grape Nation on the Heritage Radio Network.
Hi, I'm Dave Arnold, the host of Cooking Issues on the Heritage Radio Network. We all know and love Chinese takeout dishes like General Tso's chicken and egg rolls, but here's the thing. Even though we call it Chinese food, it's not like the food you'd find in China. What's the story behind this cuisine, and how did it become so popular that you can find a Chinese-American restaurant in nearly every town in the country? The answers may surprise you. Visit the Museum of Food and Drink in Brooklyn and see our newest exhibition, Chow, Making the Chinese-American Restaurant. Chow engages visitors with compelling accounts of how Chinese immigrants overcame racism and created Chinese-American cuisine. Discover the science behind the flavors of your favorite takeout dishes, feast on rotating tastings developed by the country's most talented Chinese-American chefs, and try your hand at writing your own fortune, which will be baked into actual cookies by a 1,500-pound fortune cookie machine. But what better way to learn, connect, and eat? You can visit Chow at the Museum of Food and Drink on Fridays through Sundays from noon to 6. Tickets and more information can be found at mofad.org.
All right, we're back. We're back with Heidi Turzyn. Heidi is the wine director at Gotham Bar and Grill on 12th Street in Greenwich Village in New York City. We are now going to subject Heidi to our wine list, which is a bunch of questions probing our guests to see what they're drinking and different trends. You ready, Heidi?
Yes.
All right, it's all easy. All right, what are you drinking now? What's at home? What are you tasting when you go out? What's reoccurring?
Austrian Rieslings.
Austrian Rieslings.
Yes.
All right, so give me a couple of producers that you're enjoying and to look out for.
Pichler is a great one.
Pichler?
Yes.
Okay.
Pichler's great. Jager, Jager.
Jager.
That's another one. Knoll, Knoll.
Knoll. It's pronounced Knoll?
Yes. Yeah.
Now, give
Emmerich
me...
Knoll.
Those are the beautiful, crazy labels, right?
Yes,
The
they're really
Knoll?
kind of gothic looking, yeah.
Give me the wines you mentioned have multiple offerings. Give me a price range on the lower end to the higher end.
I want to say, the people you could probably find it for between 25 to 100.
So you could start at Austrian Rieslings in the 20s, and like any wine, you
And
could
also Gruners, yeah.
Right, the Gruners. All right, give me your, not anyone else's, your favorite wine and food pairing. What's something that you love to drink wine with when you eat that you've done over and over and over?
I'm going to say a really crisp, bright Riesling with oysters, or a beautiful white Burgundy with fish, just maybe like halibut. That's something that I kind of have quite often.
It's nice to hear Riesling with oysters because we
Yeah.
get a lot of champagne
Yeah.
and we get Muscadet. Mm-hmm. But Riesling is as good a choice. Give me not a specific brand, but a dry Riesling with good acidity is best with what type of Riesling? Profile.
Well, I would say a Federspiel Riesling. Do something that's young. You could even do something with a little bit of age. I mean, you could do like
Okay.
a 2014.
But a young would work.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Besides Gotham, your favorite wine restaurant and or bar. I want you to pick a place that is terrific, but the skew towards the wine service, the list, all of that is, great too.
Oh, man.
You're not
Let me
going to
think.
incriminate yourself. You're not picking favorites.
Yeah.
And this is just now. It could change. It was different.
Yeah. Charlie Bird's doing a great job,
Restaurant with a great wine program.
I always like Le Bernardin, it's beautiful service.
You know what? You gave me two ends of the spectrum. Le Bernardin is arguably one of the great restaurants in the world with some of the greatest wine people in the greatest wine list. Charlie Bird is a newer, hip place with a different menu with a very cool, eclectic wine list.
Yeah.
Those are good choices.
Thank you.
How about any wine bars? Anybody doing it?
Caleb's Wine Bar is awesome.
Caleb is great. He
So-
was in a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
All right, good choice. So that's Compagnie du Vin Surnaturel.
Yes.
All right, give me your favorite all-time wine. Was it that Latour in Japan, or was it something else?
I'm gonna say. I guess I'm gonna say the Rousseau, 1990 Chambertin.
The Armand Rousseau,
Yes.
1990,
Yes.
Chambertin.
Mm-hmm. That's
And
my number one.
where was that drunk, or drinked?
At Gotham.
At Gotham?
There is
How long ago?
That one was last year.
Okay.
There's a
That knocked
gentleman-
you off your seat?
It was ridiculous. It was insane.
So give people a perspective. The retail on that would be what?
Oh my gosh.
1,200, 2,000, 900, 1,400?
I'm going to say like between 1,005 and 2.
Right.
One of the regulars who's a huge collector came in and he was having a big party and gave me a huge glass of it and kept wanting it. It was awesome.
Good guy.
Yeah.
That's a good choice, Heidi.
Yeah, that's a pretty good wine.
All right, now dig into your mental Rolex and help my listeners with this one. Best wine around $15 retail. Not your wheelhouse.
Mm-hmm.
Dustin Wilson was in last week. Perfect guy for that.
Yeah.
But you've been around wine. Give me a red and a white that drinks incredibly well that is in that price range.
All right. I'm going to say we could find a Petit Chablis
Okay.
for the $15 white.
Petit Chablis, which is white Burgundy.
Yeah.
In a way.
Yeah. No, I left because of Burgundy again.
But can you get petites for $15, $20?
I feel like I've been seeing more of them.
Okay.
But let me think.
All right, let's come back to that. How about a red?
A red, an Oregon Pinot.
Oregon Pinot, not
Yeah.
$15, $20?
Okay, I'm going to say Weimar Riesling for the 15.
Weimar, New York State?
Herman Weimar Riesling, New
Okay.
York State. Finger Lakes Riesling.
I think you're onto something there.
So that's one.
Weimar's a great upstate producer. Okay.
Maybe a Bourgogne Cab Franc from Loire. Look for a Loire.
Okay.
Red.
How do you spell Bourgogne?
Bourgeil.
Okay. Wait. Guiel or something. I'll look it up. I'll post it. How about, did we do a red?
We did the Bourgogne, the Cab
Bourgogne.
Franc from Loire. You can find a nice two
Okay.
there.
All right. Good job on that.
Thank you.
Last question. Are there other Psalms you admire? Are there people from the past, present that
Yeah. I mean, there's so many great Psalms in New York City.
Anybody?
It's such a nice community. Pascaline is awesome. I love Pascaline.
Pascaline's great.
AJ from Lamb's Club is a sweetheart. The entire Le Bernardin, for Aldo Sam and his entire team are sweethearts. I love them. Andrew Rostella from 11 Madison. And, of course, Yannick Benjamin.
All right, so that's a good segue for me. Let's talk about Yannick Benjamin. Yannick Benjamin is a prominent wine person on the New York wine scene, and it just happens to be Heidi's husband.
Yes.
For about a year. So Yannick has been at wine for a long time. What influences on wine did he have on you? Let me guess, Burgundy.
Oh no, he's actually he brought more Italian wines into
Okay.
to me, definitely more Italian wines, and I would say I was a little snobbier with my wine selections. He would open my eyes to.
So he was more democratic and pedestrian about it?
I guess you would say.
Okay. So he was a good guy about that.
Yeah.
All right, so Yannick is well known around the New York wine scene. Yannick also co-founded an organization called Wheeling Forward, WHEELING, Wheeling Forward. And Heidi, I want you to talk a little about, what Wheeling Forward is, why Yannick is involved, and there's some stuff, that's going to be happening with that.
Yes. So Yannick is the co-founder of Wheeling Forward, which is a nonprofit that helps people with disabilities live everyday life now. So it helps them to get back to everyday living. So a lot of organizations search for a cure, which is excellent. But what about the people that have disabilities now that need to learn how to deal with their new bodies and how to survive in the world still? So they help them get back to everyday life, and that includes education, nutrition, wheelchairs to find them the right chairs that fit their bodies they're able to move in. If they don't have the income, a lot of they may not be able to afford these things. So Wheeling Forward works with lower income individuals, and they also have opened the first accessible gym in Manhattan, and that's called the Access Project, and that's the first accessible gym where they have adaptive sports.
Where is it?
That's in Harlem.
Nice.
And they have spin classes that led by Yannick at times with hand cycles.
Let me ask you a direct question. Why did Yannick found this, and why this particular thing? There's a reason.
Yes. Well, Yannick was injured in 2003. And I think when
As a young man.
Yes, 25.
Right.
And when he was in the hospital, he was with his co-founder, Alex Alagunin. And during that time, they've noticed...
Is that where they met?
That is where
in
they
the hospital?
met, yes.
Okay.
And during that time, they were lucky to have a lot of friends and family come and visit them. And they were able to have that support and love. And they noticed that other people did not have that. I think sometimes... people don't want to accept when they see tragedy, and they don't know how to deal with that. And so they did notice other people around. And so Yannick left a little earlier before Alex because he was a paraplegic and Alex is a quadriplegic.
Right.
And so during that time, another gentleman came in, and he did not have that support and family, and he didn't have the income either. And so he wasn't given what he needed to live a healthy life, and he did die eventually.
That opened their eyes.
And then opened their eyes to what was needed.
Gotta do something.
in the community. So one of the first steps was a lot of people that are disabled don't know how to exercise, and it's something that stimulates your brain, your energy. So it's something that was important to them. And I think Yannick was always a very active guy, and that's actually
he's a marathoner.
Yes, he's
been in multiple city marathons.
Yes. And during his accident, he was a strong guy, worked out a lot, and he was able to get out of the vehicle that had crashed because of how strong he was.
His upper body strength.
Yes, because his lower body had lost.
Right.
He had lost function in his lower body, so he could only pull himself out with the strength of his arms.
So let's fast forward. I think by the time this show airs, a very impressive major event is going to happen. But let's talk about it. Yannick's organization, Wheeling Forward, puts out an event called
Wine on Wheels.
And let's talk about Wine on Wheels, what it is, and let's not underplay it because it's a pretty big deal. Wine on Wheels is April 29th, and it is at City Winery, which is a large space. And now set it up for me because there's a lot going on there.
So Yannick comes from a family that was in the wine industry, in the restaurant industry for years. His father worked in the restaurants, his uncles, and it was something that was his plan before the accident and after. So he is the only paraplegic sommelier in the city or in the world that I know of, and that is his love. And during his after his accident, he came back into the wine scene. He came back in, and he wanted to still go for his masters. He wanted to still be a somm on the floor, and he had the support and love from all the somms in the community. Michael from Per Se, Pascaline, John Reagan, and everybody was there, and they all were a community together to help Yannick also to move forward in his wine career. So Yannick did come back to the wine world. He passed some his advanced exam in the chair, and he decided to create an event called Wine on Wheels, which brings together all the top somms in New York City.
Like 50, 60.
Yes, this
and a who's who of,
yes.
Yeah, they
everybody.
all come and they're there pouring and,
all there, and it's a feeling of community. It is a feeling. It's different than any other tasting.
There's a zillion wine companies, distributors.
Wines from all over the world, yes.
There's a fee to get in, which is, where you cover your costs and make money.
Yes. There's auctions.
Silent and
live.
Live. There's seminars up the gazoot.
Yes.
So with the cost of a ticket, you could go to different seminars by a lot of these sommeliers.
Yes, every somm in the city. So if you're looking to go out for lunch on that Saturday, good luck with finding a nice spot. No.
Now, is this event one of the biggest, or they've been running, pretty big for the past few years?
Every year it gets bigger and bigger, and City Winery is a big place, and it is filled. And
so let's get people involved. Yannick's organization is Wheeling Forward, right?
Yes.
Now, is there a website? Of course.
Yes, wheelingforward.org.
Wheelingforward.org.
Yes.
And I noticed there was a website for the event.
Yes.
which is
Wine on Wheels.
Wine on Wheels.
I believe it's .org as well.
Okay, but I think if you Google it, it'll come up. I
Yeah.
did that. It's Wine on Wheels. If you go to that website, you'll be impressed at the event, and feel free to look deeply into it. Participate. It may be too late after you hear this, but by all means, if you'd like to donate to the cause, all the information will be there. I think Yannick is somebody to look up to and a role model and a real activist in this, so kudos to him.
Thank you.
All right, so we're going to toast Yannick, Heidi, and I with our weekly wine sip. We're going to wrap up the show. Every week we taste a different wine on air. For our weekly wine sip this week, we're going to taste a 2014 Rivers Marie Sonoma Coast Chardonnay. The wine retails for somewhere around $45-$55, so it's not a cheap Chardonnay, but certainly, not the most expensive. It's available at better retail stores and restaurants and via their mailing list. This wine is the home brand of rock star and winemaker Thomas Rivers Brown in Napa, California. He consults for over 40 labels. Anything more you could tell me about Thomas River or the wine? Nope. Okay, so we're going to taste it together. Two things. Eric Asimov did a column in the New York Times this week on Chardonnays, and he loved Thomas Rivers Brown Chardonnays, so we're going to be tasting one of those. And we had the good chance to have Thomas on a special edition of The Grape Nation when we were down in Charleston, so it should be interesting. So Heidi, this is the 2014 Sonoma Coast Chardonnay from Thomas Rivers Brown. All right, let's do the analysis. Talk to me about the color.
Oh, it's golden in color.
Is this an unfiltered wine? It's a little cloudy.
It looks a little cloudy, so I would say it's unfiltered and fine.
All right, so it's a golden yellow hue. All right, let's go to the nose. It's been sitting in the glass for a bit. What are you getting on the nose? Heidi, this is your specialty.
No, you definitely get some of that oak jumping out of the glass.
So
You get the coconut
the
and
oak?
the vanilla.
Is the coconut from the oak?
The vanilla is definitely, yes.
The vanilla
vanilla's
I know
from the
of.
oak. Yeah, I'm getting some ripe apple notes as well, a little bit of pear, but
So
that
on the
oak was the
fruit,
first
some
thing.
apple, right? Is it too oaky for you?
Well, the nose, the first thing I do get is the oak on the nose. So I would have to see if I can.
Okay.
I would have to try the palate before I can.
All right,
answer.
anything else? You got a little apple?
Well, ripe apple, tropical fruits. I would say,
Okay.
the
I get
fruits in the
that. I
background
get
there.
a little lemon peel.
Yeah.
Some
But the
white
oak is
flowers.
definitely there.
All right, let's throw it over the tongue.
All
Let's
right.
talk about the mouthfeel first.
Okay.
And then let's talk about palate descriptors. I'm going to spit because I'm on a diet this week.
Oh.
So it's a medium to full mouthfeel.
Yes, absolutely. I think that unfiltered and fine gives it a little more texture as well. It's a nice example of what it is. I think it's California Chardonnay, and
Big.
it has that richness to it on the palate. Definitely
Rich
that
is a good word.
The oak is present as well.
I picked up right away. It's funny when you said it. Coconut.
Yes, yeah.
Usually you get the vanilla, the oak smoke or whatever, but I got coconut right away. So
Yeah.
let's talk about, is unctuous a good word? Full body? Not unctuous, full
Yeah,
body.
full body, yes, absolutely,
Okay.
that's correct.
All right, so let's talk about some taste descriptors. What are you picking up on this?
Yeah, the tropical fruit is still coming through. The oak, but the acid really does back it up, so it's balanced.
So the acidity is good?
The acidity is good, yes.
So for a big Cabernet, the acidity, Chardonnay, the acidity is good, which
yeah.
makes it good for food?
Yes, because it balances the richness of the wine as well. So, and depending on what you're eating, this would go nicely with a lobster.
So you'd
With
pair it with
salmon.
lobster, salmon.
Salmon would be nice with a salmon.
Okay. Because of the acidity, right?
And also the acidity of the oak, the richness of the wine, and full body varietal like Chardonnay works nicely with Chardonnay.
All right, so I'm going to
With
ask you,
salmon.
we're going to close the segment with a couple of questions that you have to answer honestly. Is this your style of wine?
No, but I appreciate it.
Okay. It's made well?
Yes.
Can you pick that up?
Yes.
Okay. Because there's examples of over-the-top California Shard, Sonoma. This is not that.
No, it's
well
balanced.
made? Okay. You have no skin in this, so you're going to be honest. Is this a wine your clientele would like?
Some of them, yes.
Okay. But it would serve some of them well. Do we like this wine, love it, not like it? Where are you at with this?
I like it.
Okay. So it's a good wine.
Yeah, it's a good wine, and
It's not the Heidi Turzyn house wine, right?
no.
Okay. All right, so that was the 2014 Rivers Marie Sonoma Coast Chardonnay. Good, well-made wine, but a type of wine that if it's your style, you'll like it. If not, you should seek other things. All right.
Kistler or Peter Michaels, they would like this kind of wine.
Typical Sonoma wines. Aubert.
Aubert, that's a good one too, yes,
Those
absolutely.
type of wines. All right, we're going to wrap up, Heidi. If you have a question, wine happening, or event, hit me up at sam@thegrapenation.com. That's sam@thegrapenation. Follow us on Facebook at The Grape Nation. We'll post Heidi's wine list answers on our Facebook page. So if you didn't hear everything, you can get those. Follow us on Instagram at sbenruby and Twitter at benruby. Heidi, this is a good time to ask you if people would like to follow you on social media. Instagram?
Yes, absolutely. Facebook, it's under Heidi Turzyn.
Heidi Turzyn.
And-
Turzyn.
Yes.
Turzyn.
And as well as on Instagram. H Turzyn.
H Turzyn.
Yes.
Okay. And Twitter?
I'm also on Twitter as well for Heidi Turzyn.
Okay.
HeidiTurzyn.
All right. And if people want to dig deeper into Gotham, want to see the wine list, the menu, or intrigued by our talks, Gotham Bar and Grill.
GothamBarandGrill.com. You could also follow them on Instagram, Facebook. We are very active.
All right. So those are all your vitals for that. We want to thank our guest, Heidi Turzyn. She's the wine director at Gotham Bar and Grill in New York City. We want to thank our engineer, Vitor, and everyone at the Heritage Radio Network. I'm Sam Ben-Ruby, and you've been listening to The Grape Nation.
Thanks for listening to Heritage Radio Network, food radio supported by you. For our freshest content and to hear about exclusive events, subscribe to our newsletter. Enter your email at the bottom of our website, heritageradionetwork.org. Connect with us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at heritage_radio. Heritage Radio Network is a nonprofit organization driving conversations to make the world a better, fairer, more delicious place. And we couldn't do it without support from listeners like you. Want to be a part of the food world's most innovative community? Rate the shows you like, tell your friends, and please join our community by becoming a member. Just click on the beating heart at the top right of our homepage. Thanks for listening.